how can you afford a home today? Right now, the cost of housing is unprecedented, but that's not how it always has been or will be, meaning the housing market changes, interest rates change. In order to purchase a home, it's important that you are prepared. After 2008, although homes were cheap, nobody could buy them because they couldn't get financing. Other times, throughout history, the affordability has gone up and down wildly, especially in the last 20 years. So what's important is that we just don't look at the situation today and give up. Instead, we look at what we need to be doing today to get into a position where we can afford a home. And there's certain rules that we can create and follow to facilitate this and make it a reality. Remember, when the opportunity arises, if you're not prepared, it's too late. And this is what happens to most people. They assume, I'll never be able to buy a home. But then later on, all of a sudden opportunities arise and they're not prepared, so they can't take advantage of them. The key to this is that we have a goal, we understand it, and we automate it. Now, for those, which are a lot of people today, affording a home is a secondary thing. They're trying to just meet their basic needs. What's important in that case is that we focus on improving our skills that are marketable and valuable in the workforce. As our income rises, we do not let lifestyle creep rise with it. This is the biggest trap that people get into. Over time, as their skills and experience improve, they get pay raises, they get a new job that pays better, immediately lifestyle creep goes up and they still don't have savings or excess money. This is why having these rules in place and automating this to avoid that puts you in a position to where you can have the opportunity and you have choices. That's really important when it comes to housing and buying a home. Now, you may have heard of the rule, the 2739 rule. That was a rule on what you need to save a day to buy a home. That rule doesn't work anymore. At today's prices and interest rate, that just won't cut it. The important thing to focus on is there's two levers. We have the amount and time. When things are as unaffordable as they are now, that gives us an opportunity to have time to get ready for when we are in a better position and the market's in a better position. So the inputs we can adjust are twofold, the amount and the time frame. Adjusting these two inputs gives us time to plan out and get ready for opportunity. The hardest thing that people deal with is, first, actually saving the money, meaning that they're actually putting it away and not spending it. The second thing is lifestyle creep. So to avoid this, what we're going to do is we're going to automate our savings and we're going to take it out of our main account and put it into a separate account so it is not a part of our overall finances that we look at and say we can spend money or not. Set the rules and automate. Let's look at how this works in practice. So if you saved $2739, that's $10,000 a year for 1 year. Now, at a 20% down payment, the home you can buy is $50,000. I guess you're going to be moving to Detroit, but we want to avoid that. Not that there's anything wrong with Detroit. So let's look at our first lever. Let's go 3 years out. That's $30,000. Now, at a 20% down payment, that's $150,000. If we go down to a 10% down payment, or if you get an opportunity to use the first-time home buyers, that can go even less. Now we're up to $300,000. The average price in the United States is $300,000 to $400,000. This is important. If you live in high-end coastal markets, that's not even close. Hence the reason why lots of people from large metropolitan coastal markets are moving. That's why the mass migration is occurring. Opportunity and lifestyle. It is really hard to be able to afford a home in Southern California if you don't make massive amounts of money. Whereas you can go to Texas and buy a $350,000 home, and it's a really nice home, as well as lots of other places in the United States. To give an example, this is why we see migrations happening all over from Idaho, Utah, Atlanta, North Carolina, Texas, and more. Now, if we take this even further out and go to 5 years, now we're hitting roughly $500,000 for a purchase price. That roughly amounts to $3,000 a month in payment. We have not only the down payment that we need to how much we're putting down, we also need to be able to afford the monthly cost. This is why what's important to focus on is the amount that we can save, earning higher income, avoiding lifestyle creep, and changing this amount. So if we moved that up to roughly $50 a day, that is $20,000 a year over 3 years with a 10% down, that's $600,000 with a $3,500 monthly payment. Now, this, for a lot of the United States, is a great house in the suburbs, a nice community, and a nice home. Once again, if you're in coastal markets, that's a different story. Now, if we moved that up to 20% down, that puts us at $300,000, but that moves your monthly payment all the way down to $1,500. Now, this is at a 7% interest rate. Interest rates are already below that. So if we look at what interest rates were last week, roughly 6%, that changes it to $1,400. Now that's 3 years worth of savings at $54 a day, roughly $20,000 a year. With that at 6%, we could do a 10% down payment, and that puts us almost at $3,000 a month. The problem with that is not all inclusive, meaning there's other expenditures you have to have as a homeowner. Remember, we have insurance, we have property taxes. These things all together can amount to $4,000, $4,500. That's why when we look at the 20% down payment, it lowers our monthly payment to make it more affordable. That brings that total amount down to almost $2,000 a month. If you take that out to 5 years, now we're looking at $500,000 with 20% down, and that puts us at $2,300 a month. Once again, the point of this exercise is to look at the two things that we can control: how long we're saving and how much we're saving. At the end of the day, you may not be able to save, let's say, $82 a day today, but over 5 years, maybe you get to that point or even more as you avoid lifestyle creep. Maybe you are in a relationship and two of you are earning incomes. Another thing that people are doing is they're working other jobs or side hustles like Uber, and they're allocating all that money into savings. When we move that amount to $82 a day, that's roughly $29,000, $30,000 a year. That's a second job, a side hustle. So if you have two people working, maybe one of your incomes is going towards that. Over 5 years, that gives us $150,000 down payment at 20%. Then we can afford a $750,000 home. Now that is a large, nice home. And our principal payments at that point are $3,500 a month. All inclusive, when you're talking about everything else that goes into it, like insurance and property tax, we're talking about $4,600. You may not want that. You may say, I don't need that nice of a home. Let's change it and go to 30% down. That drops that monthly payment all inclusive to $2,800 a month, and you're still getting a $500,000 home. Now, if you want to look long term and you're not making that kind of money, take it back down to the lesser amount of $9,000 a year. Let's move that to 10 years with 20% down. That gets us to roughly that same outcome, a $500,000 home with around $3,000 a month, all inclusive. And that's the point, catering this to the outcome. Of course, there's variables. You say, 10 years, housing costs will change, or I can't afford here. You need to move to another place where you can afford. The whole point is that you make a plan and you automate it. Now, there's other factors, like instead of just having it sit in an account accruing nothing and losing on inflation, that you set it up in a safe investment that gives you a yield that is higher than inflation. So that account is actually growing and not losing your purchasing power during that time. That's really important once we start to look at 2, 3+ years out. So you could look at a high yield savings account, or you could do something more risky like the stock market. This is important. If you're putting it in the stock market, you need time. The stock market goes up and down and nobody knows when. So with that in mind, anything in a short period of time, like 1 to 2 years, that's not a good idea. If you have a 10-year plan, that makes a lot of sense because you're dollar cost averaging, Meaning, if the stock market's going up, you're buying. If it's going down, you're buying. The average over time means you gain. When it's high, you're buying, but then when it's low, you're getting more for the same amount of money that you're putting in. And then as the stock market rises, it lifts you up. But once again, make sure you have a long time frame in order to put that into place, or by the time you want to buy a home, like in year 2 or 3, the stock market may be down and your money may be down 20%, and then you have to wait for it to go back up anyways. Home ownership is a plan. It is something that you have to work towards. First, increasing your income and not lifestyle creep. Second, savings. Third, time frame. You add these things together and you automate it. Along the way, as your income grows, as you take on side hustles, not adding that to lifestyle creep, but instead increasing that amount that you are saving. So if in year 1, you can only save roughly $9,010 a year, but then the next year, you can move that up. Now it's $15,000 a year. Then the third year, you move it up again. Now that's $20,000 a year. The combined is $45,000. Whereas if you kept it the same over that 3-year period, it's $30,000. That's an extra $15,000 that you're able to allocate. Home ownership is still obtainable, but it's not easy. It is something that needs to be planned for, and sacrifices have to be made. But it's important to remember that's what all other generations have faced. Even the baby boomers, who lived through a time where assets went up, they were the highest bankruptcy generation ever, by far. So although they were able to save up and buy homes, they also mass lost investments. It's not easy and it's not given, but it is possible. And most important, times change. Think about it like this. If you were saving the $27 a day over a 3-year period, you could buy a $150,000 home in the Midwest. You'd have around a $1,000 payment at a 7% interest. That's putting 20% down. Now, if that interest rate was 4.3 or closer to 4, that's a $590 monthly payment. That means you can afford to put less down, therefore dramatically increasing the amount you can spend on a home. You see how they're all correlated, and how as things change, it changes how much you can put down and what you can spend a month. That simple change, saving $54 a day over that period of time, raises that amount all the way to $600,000 with a $2,600 monthly payment. You're saving not to purchase today, but to put yourself in a position where you have the opportunity to buy when it's right in the future. So let me know in the comments. Housing is totally unaffordable for most people. What are you doing today to try to accomplish your dream of home ownership?